Good day everyone. So today I will be discussing your Module 4 in page C12 Lesson 2, which is food quality. Okay, so this simple diagram was able to present to us the various areas with HACCP revolves around the operation. Okay, as you can see here, we have first purchasing or ordering, then receiving, then after receiving, we store we store it whether it is dry store, chiller, or freezer. Next, preparation. First, we have thawing, slicing, and peeling. Then we proceed to cooking. Then after cooking, we proceed to serving and displaying. So, and if there are leftover, we proceed to cooling, with the leftover foods, and then reheating. Okay. So the example above may not apply to other organization since it is the organization themselves who would design their own HACCP. Okay? An important factor in the above diagram is that the purchasing or the ordering and the receiving part. So in this chapter, we would be dealing with the ideal qualities of certain food items that you will have to look for when purchasing needed ingredients for your menus. So the most important factor is that after purchasing or ordering, you should be able to check the items delivered to you in order to see if they are of good quality and are based on the specifications that you had given to them. So there are certain principles to follow when receiving food items based on the principle of HACCP. So among them may be the following. First, received only food that was ordered. Okay? Certain food items and ingredients that you did not order should not be accepted because they would only add up at your cost. Okay? Benchmark deliveries based on company's specifications. So most established hotels, restaurants, cruise ships, and resorts have identified all ingredients that they will be needed, or they will be needing for the food that they would intend to serve or they will cook. They also have written specifications on all the food items. So pepper, for instance, would come either as white or black, crushed or whole. Thus, when receiving food items, make sure that the item delivered is based on the specification of your establishment. Dapat chine-check natin if tama ba yung na-deliver nila sa atin. Diba? If they have the right amount, the right number, the right color of what we have ordered, or the specifications of our food items. So in an instance that the delivered item did not fit on the specification, simply return or refuse the food item. Okay. Next, we have the quality checking, the next process. Delivered food items may come in a various forms they may be. So, for example, if fresh, so this includes fruits, vegetables, meats, fish, and poultry. If frozen, it might be meats, vegetables, fish, or poultry. If canned, we have vegetables, fruits, and fish. If chilled, we have shellfish, fish, meats, fruits, vegetables. If smoked, bacon, fish, sausages. Salted, meat or fish. Dried, vegetables, fish, or meat. So no matter in what form it may come, make sure to check that the food item is of good quality. Be sure to look for quality points in accepting these deliveries. So, first, check the temperature. This is very important, particularly in accepting frozen food items. Make sure that the food items is still within the ideal freezing temperature when delivered. In order to check this, put the thermometer between 2 packs of food items and then wait for the temperature to stabilize and read the temperature. Okay, next we have we should check the packaging. Okay, make sure that the packaging of the food items is not broken or torn. Do not accept any packages that are torn or broken. This is a good sign of contamination or bad storage handling. Okay, next, call the chef when in doubt. So, in an instance that you are not sure whether a food item is of good quality, Call the chef and let the chef decide. This applies to food items that are new, not very familiar, or not frequently used. Okay. Next, we have the ideal qualities of food when receiving them. So when it comes to meats, we have acceptable meats and reject meats. So acceptable meats, the most common meats that are used in the food establishments are beef, pork, veal, and lamb. So the meat should be received at a temperature of 5 degrees Celsius or even lower. Check the color of the meat. Pork should be light pink and lean, so which means that the meat always exceeds the fat. Beef should be bright red. Veal should be pale red and pinkish, and lamb should be light red. So the texture of the meat should be resilient. So this means that when you apply a little pressure from your finger, it springs back to shape. Okay? Reject meat. So meats that feels slimy when being touched, so dry or greenish or brown in color, should not be accepted. So these are the signs of decomposition due to exposure to the temperature danger zone for a dangerous span of time. Next, we have the fresh poultry. So acceptable fresh poultry. A fresh poultry is best when they are delivered chilled. So make sure that upon delivery, it is surrounded by crushed ice. The skin should not have unnecessary tears or breaks. The skin should not have bruises and other discoloration. It should also be shiny and not dry or cracking. Reject fresh poultry. So chicken delivered that contain dark wing tips are not acceptable. They are a sign that the chicken is not properly chilled or frozen. The usual discoloration in chicken are blue, a sign of bruise and improper handling. Green, a sign of decomposition due to improper storage, allowing bacterial growth. Okay, next we have fresh shellfish. An acceptable shellfish, the most ideal condition of a fresh shellfish is that it should be still alive. This ensures that the shellfish is still fresh. In an instance that it is not alive, it should be chilled or iced with a temperature of 7 degrees Celsius. The shells should be unbroken and, if possible, closed. An open shell indicates that the shellfish is dead. It should also contain a mild ocean or seaweed smell. Okay. Reject shellfish. Do not accept open shells that do not close when tapped. This is an indication that the shellfish had been dead and may now be decomposing, thus unfit for human consumption. The shellfish already have a strong fishy smell. Again, this indicates that it has started to decompose. Next, fresh vegetables. The edible part of brassicas. So when we say brassicas, these are the plants including cabbage, turnip, mustard, sprout. So that is brassicas. So the edible part of brassicas and the leafy vegetables should not be wilted. So when we say wilted, it should not, the vegetables should not lack of water, okay, or it is not languish. So it should still be firm and compact. Check salad vegetables if they are still crispy and fresh by touching them and feeling if they are still firm. Fruit vegetables should also be firm with clean and intact skin. Bulbs, tuber, and root vegetables should not have many dirt or soil stain clinging to its skin. If we have reject vegetables, vegetables that show signs of being eaten by worms should not be accepted. Wilted, leafy vegetables should be returned or rejected upon delivery. This is a bad sign and may cause of food poisoning. Fruits and vegetables that are soft and mushy should be returned immediately. Okay, in eggs, the acceptable eggs should have a clean and unbroken shell. Test one egg to see if the yolks are still firm. The yolk should not be easily broken with a significant amount of egg white still clinging to the yolk. Okay, next, when it comes to the canned goods, always check the expiry date of the food item. Do not accept if the expiry date is just a few weeks away. Never accept canned food items that are bulging or swollen in the end. So this is a sign that the gas emitted by microorganisms are already forming inside, making it unsuitable for human consumption. Okay. A rusted can indicates that it is either been improperly stored and had been wet, or had the can reached its expiry date. So consuming food items from a rusted may cause serious heavy metal poisoning. Next, we have, when it comes to vacuum packed items, check the expiration date. Make sure that the vacuum pack is still intact with no signs of tears or breakages of the package. Temperature should be about 5 degrees Celsius or colder. So food items in sack containers, make sure that the sack does not show any water marks or stains. Do not accept sacks with holes, punctures, or tears. Proper storage temperature. In order to ensure that the food items remain good quality after receiving them, it should be properly stored in the proper temperature. Listed below are some of the most acceptable temperature based on HACCP standard. For example, in fishes, this should be stored at 5 degrees Celsius in the chiller and 18 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius in the freezer. In shellfishes, this should be stored in the chiller at 5 degrees Celsius and 18 degrees Celsius to 20 in the freezer. In meat, this should be stored in the chiller for at least 5 degrees Celsius and 18 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius in the freezer. Poultry, this should be stored at, also in a 5 degrees Celsius and 18 degrees to 20 in the freezer. Eggs should be stored in the chiller. It has the same temperature with the poultry and meat, 5 degrees Celsius and 18 to 20 degrees Celsius in the freezer. Dairy products, this should be stored in the chiller for at least also 5 degrees Celsius and 18 degrees Celsius to 20 in the freezer. Vegetables, never freeze fresh vegetables as they may deteriorate. Store them in a chiller at about 5 degrees Celsius only. So that's it for our Module 4 in THC 12, Lesson 2, which is Food Quality. Okay, thank you and have a nice day ahead.